Hello to everybody. Actually, good evening here from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Beautiful night. I have decided to make this very short 3 hours video. I'm just joking. Very short video about the language journey that I had to go through willingly, obviously. I love languages very much, very much. Language is a music. It's a harmony with specific chords and lines that you can draw and different harmonies that you can imply. It's simply beautiful. I used to be a musician in the past. But anyway, what I want to say is this. The reason for studying language must be very important. You have to be very well motivated and also centered at the goal that you want to achieve. Concerning the motivation, which is the most important part with regard to studying language. So concerning the motivation, that must be evoked, must be revealed in yourself. You have to find that motivation, because without it, forget it. You may start language and you will find the first difficulties and obstacles and you quit. So the motivation is the most important part. And once the motivation is there, then you have to set up a goal. And that goal has to be reachable. It doesn't matter if you reach that goal in 1 month or 2 years, as long as you reach it, that's what counts. Okay? So, my first language was German. I'm basically coming originally from former Czechoslovakia. And when I was 8 Jahre alt, meine Mutter sagte, Paul, du musst German or Deutsch lernen. So I started the German language. Es ist nicht leicht, eine fremde Sprache zu lernen when I was 8. But that was a motivation that I did not evoke in myself. It was my mother. She decided for me. But when I grew up and I was about 19, 20, I started realizing that it's very important to learn more languages. And as my goal became to run away from a former totalitarian communist regime in Czechoslovakia, I decided to move to Italy to run away. And the most important part of that was that I knew that if I would go there, I have to learn that language before I have reached that place, before I have arrived to Italy. So I studied every single day, 10 to 15 minutes, every day and every day. Now, I've never been to Italy. Now, you have only one book. At that time, you couldn't follow the videos and different social media. It was just like that. So I studied. And I was rehearsing, talking, before I went to bed, when I woke up in the morning, to always talking in that language. So when I finally reached, after 1 year, the Italian territory in the refugee camp and asked for political asylum, I was shocked. I thought that I knew everything, that I knew the grammar, I knew the pronunciation. But when I went to see Carabinieri and I was about to say that I'm asking for the political asylum, despite the all effort I had spent on studying languages, I wasn't able to say a word. I was stuck. I couldn't say, io voglio restare in Italia, per favore, lasciatemi partire. I wasn't able to say a word. I was so frustrated. How is that possible? It was that fear of speaking in front of other people, and also psychological lockdown. You are in a different country and all of a sudden things didn't work the way you wanted. But as the hours actually went on and days, it started releasing from myself all what I had learned before. So it was just that block, and sometimes you have to remove that block. You have to get rid of your nervousness and of the stress, and also sometimes it is the misunderstanding what you want to say. Your mind somehow doesn't work at that moment. You just have to relax, focus on what you want to say, and then you just progress. So this was the first experience. Then when I was in that refugee camp, and I'm talking only about myself, even if I was married at that time, I do not want to talk about the family. It is just that language Germany. So before I was invited to Canadian embassy in Rome. Actually, it was in Rome. Yeah. I expected that Canada might decide to take me in, but it was Quebec. They decided, yes, we can take you, but it will be Quebec. It won't be Ontario or other provinces. Quebec, and Quebec, it's a French province. So I accepted. I went back to the little apartment that we had in the refugee camp, if it could be called apartment, and I started French immediately, every day, French. And the good thing is that once you learn one Latin language, such as Italian, the grammar is basically the same for French, Italian, Spanish, or for Portuguese-speaking people. The grammar is the same, more or less, almost the same, a little bit different pronunciation, of course. And so I started learning again before I have actually had reached the Quebec territory. And then we arrived to Quebec, and again in Quebec you start talking, and even if you think that you know that language, you are stuck again. It takes some time before your brain picks up, before your surroundings and circumstances allow you to even concentrate on what you want to say. And then it becomes easier and easier. And then I started university, finished university, and I went into the field of registered education savings plan, which is a program which is, I believe, was the Paul Martin who introduced very important incentive. And that incentive was that if parents enroll their children into a registered education savings plan, the federal government of Canada would match 20% of the contribution that parents made toward the child's future education. So I went into that field. So I had to do the presentation in French and in English in Quebec province and in Ontario, where I moved a little bit later. This is how I realized how important are the presentation skills, not just the communication skills. You can communicate one way or another. Use proper pronunciation, proper vocabulary, you know the grammar, obviously you know also the body language, like in Italy, you know, like it was so nice in Italy when I remember I was in one place there when I was looking for a job, and we were walking with a friend of mine in the streets of Latina, which is close to Rome. This is where that refugee camp was, and we are looking for that job. We are asking people, per favore, sto cercando lavoro, per favore. And now there is this guy who looks at us from distance and he does this. In my country it means stay where you are, but in Italy it means come here. So we were like, should we go? It was so funny. So that body language, which is for Italians, like when they say something, they go, buono, like, ma che cosa fai? Che cosa stai facendo? So funny. So it's a little bit different in French-speaking language. It's not that much gesticulation, right? But anyway, when I arrived in Quebec and started university, finished university, starting this RESP program, I had to learn how to do the presentation. Presentation in those languages. It's not about how well you know the language, because when you go and to see your potential client and you want to have him enrolled in the plan, you have to do the presentation very well. You have to be very well knowledgeable about your product, about the audience, about the language, about the politics, about the economics, about the families, about the children. Many different variables that will determine if your sale will be successful, if at the end of that presentation the client will sign. And then obviously when the client signs, he is committed for X number of years until the plan has more or less expired, and then these benefits are allocated to the child to use it for the education. So that was the point where I realized how important is not the communication but also the presentation. You have to work on that, and it's another skill that you acquire only by doing it, because even if you know everything well and you go and you present your plan in a certain professional or business settings, you lose in the first 10, 15 appointments. You lose. Simply the thing is that you are so stressed, so concerned about saying everything properly, etc., etc., etc. So these were the experiences. Now, as the life continued, I came to the point that I had to use also the Russian language and the Spanish language. So I reviewed the knowledge again and was using the same principles of learning. But the most important part of all of it was that motivation part and the need to do it. If you know that your bills needs to be paid, and if you don't pay, you can get evicted, that might be extremely strong motivation. It didn't happen to me. It had happened to some other people around. But the point that when I was acquiring the experiences, not just mine, but also from other people, helped me to focus on how the motivation and goal setting is extremely important. And once you have these two ingredients aligned, then the study of the language or whatever else it is becomes very easy. That was all. Bye bye.